James for you. It'll be short.
David said he's gonna be 10 minutes late, but our meeting's so short that.
I can be done in 20.
I
It's
know.
10, 20. I can get started quick.
Yeah, the community level contract.
Nobody wants to come. I am the only one who loves it.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Right.
It's my second home. My first home was the
I think you're the only one. You're right.
I know. The minute they go, council.
Is the light good?
Yeah.
So,
Audio test, testing 1, 2, 3. Audio test, testing 1, 2, 3. Good morning, everyone. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer for today, Wednesday, February 8th, 2023. We are waiting just for one or two commissioners to join us in the chambers. We should get started in a couple of minutes. For those of you that are joining us through the Zoom application, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We just wanted to just confirm that you can hear us. Angela, if you can hear us, see if you can just unmute your microphone and just confirm that you can hear us, hear from the boardroom.
Yes.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much. For today's agenda, we have a relatively short agenda. Item number 1 and 2 will be presented by Patrick Schmidt. Item number 3, no presenter required. Item number 4, from the Bureau of Sanitation, Nancy Lanton. From the Bureau of Street Services, Martha Iniguez. From the Bureau of Engineering, Greg Vandergriff. And from the Bureau of Street Lighting, Assad Al-Najjar. There's nothing to report for the Bureau of Contract Administration. If I am mistaken, BCA, if you're in the room, just let me know. Otherwise, nothing to report is what I have for the Bureau of Contract Administration. For those of you that are joining us as a Bureau representative, Farhana, Mohammed, Sunil, Rajpal, Clinton, Angela Martinez, Richard Louie, thank you all for joining us this morning. Should the board have any questions for your Bureau, we will open up those audio lines for you at that time. At this time, I'm going to go forward and identify any callers on the line that would like to provide general public comment or commentary on any of the items for today's agenda. If you can please raise your hand at this time by pressing *9 or click the raise hand icon if you're joining us through the Zoom application. If you're joining us live here at City Hall, there are speaker cards located at the back end of the room. You can go ahead and fill out a speaker card and hand that over to me. I am up in the front raising my hand here. If you'd like to submit a speaker card, again, this is for general public comment or commentary on any of the items. Last call for members of the general public that would like to provide general public comment or commentary on any of the items for today's agenda. If you can please raise your hand at this time by pressing *9. Click the raise hand icon if you're joining us through the Zoom application, or submit a speaker card if you're joining us in person here at City Hall. Seeing no hands raised. Commissioners, President Garcia, we do have one commissioner that is running a little behind schedule. I have 3 commissioners in the room, and I can establish quorum, or I can also take a quick pause and just get an update on our 4th commissioner that's in the building. Okay. I'll be right back. President Garcia, you do have 4 commissioners in the room. I can go ahead and start the recording for you.
Yes, please.
Thank you. President Garcia, you are now in record mode.
Great. Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting for the Board of Public Works for Wednesday, February 8, 2023. Dr. Campos?
Good morning, everyone. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer, establishing roll call and quorum. We have President Garcia, Vice President Villegas, and Commissioners Corzan and Reyes. President Garcia, you do have a quorum at this time. President Garcia, we do not have any callers on the line under general public comment. We also do not have any commentary under the Neighborhood Council comment section, and no speakers on any of the items for today's agenda as well.
Thank you. Given that we do not have any public comment's now officially closed. Moving on to the first item of today's business, which is the approval of the minutes for Wednesday, January 25th, 2023. Is there a second to my motion to move this item forward and forthwith? Thank you, Commissioner Corzan. Dr. Campos, there's a first by me and a second by Commissioner Corzan to approve the minutes for Wednesday, January 25th, 2023.
Absolutely. We'll start the voting tabulation. We'll start with you, Madam President.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas, Commissioner Corzan,
Aye.
and Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. It's Wednesday, February 8th, believe it or not. For those folks that are here in person, nice seeing you all, and for those that are joining us via virtual, thank you for being with us this morning. We have a relatively short agenda today, so you'll probably still have coffee in your mug by the time we're done. So with that said, we'll start with the first item on today's agenda, which is a request from the Bureau of Engineering in Council District 11, sole source task order solicitation number 00-121, AECOM Technical Services 2022-2027, pre-qualified on-call consultants list, Venice Street Maintenance Yard. Recommending the board to, 1, authorize the city engineer to issue sole source task to AECOM Technical Services from 2022 to 2027 pre-qualified on-call geotechnical and environmental engineering services consultants list to provide continuous soil remediation, groundwater monitoring, and related services for the Venice Street Maintenance Yard as stated in task order number 00121-, with a budget authority of $274,000, including contingency. And this morning, we have Mr. Smith here joining us. Welcome, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, President Garcia. Good morning, everyone. So this board report is to issue a sole source task force solicitation to AECOM for continuation of the work they've been doing for the last few years on the Venice Street Maintenance Yard project. On November 27, 2017, the board approved the 2017 to 2022 pre-qualified on-call list of consultants to provide geotechnical environmental services for projects, including the underground tank soil remediation program. As part of this list, AECOM was awarded the work to provide bioremediation of soil and monitoring the groundwater, waste disposal, regulatory reporting, and related tasks for the Venice Street Maintenance Yard. AECOM's contract as part of the 2017-2022 pre-qualified on-call list expired on December 14th of 2022. On July 20th, 2022, the board approved a new report for the execution of personal services contracts for the 2022 to 2027 pre-qualified on-call list of geotechnical and environmental consultants. AECOM's contract as part of the new list was executed on November 2nd, 2022 and extends for a period of 5 years and will expire on November 1st of 2027. The Venice Street Maintenance Yard is a Bureau of Street Services truck maintenance, refueling, and overnight parking facility for city vehicles. Previously, a diesel fuel tank and possibly a clarifier leaked hydrocarbons into the soil. The leaking structures were removed and subsequent soil and groundwater testing confirmed contamination. Under the 2017 to 2022 pre-qualified on-call contract, AECOM assessed the extent of the leakage and performed remedial feasibility testing. Under the direction of the BOE, AECOM submitted a remedial action plan, which was accepted by the regulatory agency, the Los Angeles Regional Water Quality Control Board. Due to funding protocols with the city administrative officer, the remediation budget is requested on a year-to-year basis. That's why we come here every year to request additional funding for the continuation of the environmental work at these sites. The scope reflected in the task order is the result of the Water Quality Control Board's mandate of continued semi-annual groundwater monitoring reporting, as well as continued soil remediation in the form of the installed bio-venting system and the associated operation and maintenance of the system. The Water Board has also mandated additional testing and reporting of the results of the document to document the remedial process. Based on the results, the site assessment work plan and further subsurface exploration may be required and is included in this year's budget request. This task will extend the work for AECOM through the end of this calendar year, December 31st, 2023. This task will be subject to business inclusion program outreach requirements. The city has set participation levels of 18% MBE, 4% WBE, 25% SBE, 8% EBE, 3% DVBE. For this task, AECOM is pledging MBE participation of 6.67%, WBE participation of 9.52%, SBE participation of 15.72%, EBE participation of 15.72%, DVBE participation of 0%, and OBE participation of 0%. Funding in the amount of $274,000, including the contingency for this TOS number 00121, is available in the Contaminated Soil Removal and Remediation Budget, Fund Number 100, Department 54, Appropriation Unit Number ZZV 318. That concludes this report, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Smith, for your report. Any questions, Commissioners? Commissioner Reyes?
Hey, how are you?
Good, and you?
Thank you for that report. I just have one clarification. Is the scope change due to additional requirements by the Water Quality Control Board? And if so, how often do these regulatory agencies, give additional requirements to us for projects like these? And on top of that, do we then anticipate those changes so that we can calculate or have a cushion on said contract for efficiency purposes?
Hopefully I'll answer all your questions. I was trying to pay attention. In this case, the Water Quality Control Board has mandated some additional work for this calendar year starting January 1st. So this revised task order does require or include additional work as mandated by the Water Quality Control Board. As far as how often they do it, it's really not that often. Some of these have been going on for many years, and this is the first time. And I would say, at least what I'm aware of, the last 5 years where they've requested additional work. I can share with you, beginning about a year ago, they started to get more aggressive with the city. They started threatening us with fines. We did receive a letter from them for one of the projects, which I believe was Fire Station 3, of a threat of $10,000 a day. So they are kind of tightening up on us and trying to make sure we follow the guidelines and procedures to make sure we report semi-annually like they request. I'm sorry if I forgot the rest of your question.
The second part is if we if we anticipate those types of requests or mandates, how do we plan in terms of budgeting for contingency and all that, so that we don't have to go back to the board more often than is necessary?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, as I mentioned, because of the funding source from the CAO, we do have to come back annually. But we do submit semi-annual and sometimes quarterly reports, so our staff is in direct communication with the Water Quality Control Board on a regular basis.
Okay.
And as they're reviewing the documentation that's submitted to them on a quarterly or semi-annual basis, they reach out to us and there's discussions about what they would like to see, if there's any additional work they proposed. In this case, and I believe in the other one I'm presenting today, they have requested, as I mentioned, that within the last year, they've been requesting more from us. And I think every of the projects we got going now, I think the majority of them are going to see additional work this year.
Thank you. That's helpful information for us, especially because we're looking at, of course, the budget costs, and at the same time, looking at efficiencies where we can improve on these requests for additional monies.
Yep.
Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yeah, unfortunately, they dictate to us. By state law, we're required to do what they pretty much tell us to do. So we're kind of dictated to do the services they request, and then we reach out to our consultant and include in the scope of work for that year. So hopefully, to further answer your question, I don't expect there to be any changes this calendar year.
Okay.
I think we have everything captured. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Reyes. Vice President Villegas?
Hi, good morning. Good to see you. Thank you for your report. Just a quick question. The work that AECOM is going to be doing looks like it's going to be, maybe you can provide me with a little bit more context. Because they're going to be at the Venice Street Maintenance Yard for the Bureau of Street Services and checking out their underground tanks, is the work a continuation of monitoring and the implementation of the remedial action plan?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
I was asking if the work that's going to be done is going to be on a LA City yard, number one, and then two, is it that AECOM is going to be monitoring and taking tests for the underground storage tanks?
To answer your question, yes, this is on the Venice Street Maintenance Yard, Borough Street Services Yard. AECom will be, that they're required per the mandate from the Water Quality Control Board to go out there and do testing, and then they basically collect samples, do laboratory tests, and then they have to report back to the Water
Okay.
Quality Control Board. So this is ongoing issue. The tanks that were leaking were removed many years ago, so there's no further contribution to the contamination in the subsurface out there. It's just the long-term remediation and cleanup, and
Okay.
thank you.
All right, thank you. That's helpful. I just wanted to connect the subcontractor Martini Drilling. They're probably going to be, just doing the actual work, and then I think the American Analytics and AECom will probably be reviewing the information that's extracted to be able to show proof that either there is or there isn't additional remediation that needs to happen.
Yes, that's correct, Commissioner Vegas.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Villegas. Patrick, I just have a quick question. What was the process? How many folks submitted a proposal when this was called? I know that AECom is the winner for this one, but did we get enough proposals submitted?
Sorry, President Garcia. I don't have that information with me, but we always go out, initially we go out to the whole list of consultants. The 2017 to 2022 list had 12 consultants on it. Excuse me, that list had 11 consultants. So the new list, the 2022 to 2027, has 12 consultants. So every time we initiate the task, we go out to the whole list. Every once in a while, like on Fire Station 3, we even though AECom's also providing services for that one, in 2021, we decided to go out to the whole list just to make sure we were getting the competitive cost. The Water Quality Control Board doesn't really like that so much. They would prefer if we stick with the same consultants, so there's the history and repeat of the same consultants made in the reports and the same people working on the project.
Okay, that makes sense. I just wanted to know what process you used for this on-call list. Okay, if you can get me that info, if any other folks submitted,
Yes.
any other proposals, that would be great. Thank you. All right, colleagues, any other questions on this item? Seeing none, any objections? Hearing none, is there a motion on the table to move item number 1 forward and forthwith?
Move.
Thank you, Commissioner Reyes. Is there a second?
Second that.
Thank you, Vice President Villegas. Dr. Campos, there's a first by Commissioner Reyes and a second by Vice President Villegas to move item number 1 forward and forthwith.
Absolutely. We'll start the voting tabulation now. We'll start with you, President Garcia,
Aye.
Vice President Villegas,
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis,
Davis, aye.
Commissioner Corzine,
Aye.
and Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, not yet. You're here for the next one, too.
Yes.
Moving on to item number 2, this is a request in Council District 8 for a budget increase and revised sole source task order solicitation, task number 00-16, AECom Technical Services, Inc., Southwest District Street Maintenance Yard, recommending the board to, 1, authorize the city engineer to issue a revision of the sole source task for task order 00-016 to AECom Technical Services, Inc., increasing the budget authority from $18,435 to $393,435 for continued soil and groundwater remediation, groundwater monitoring, and related services for the Southwest District Street Maintenance Yard. And we have Mr. Smith on this item as well. Thank you.
Thank you, President Garcia, and I apologize. The first part of this report is going to be very similar to the last one. Okay, I'll read through that. On November 27, 2017, the board approved the 2017 to 2022 pre-qualified on-call list of consultants to provide geotechnical environmental services for projects including the underground tank soil remediation program. As part of that pre-qualified on-call list, AECom provided groundwater and soil remediation monitoring related services for the Southwest Maintenance Yard. AECom's contract on the previous list expired on December 14, 2022. On July 20, 2022, the board approved a report for the execution of personal services contracts for the 2022 to 2027 pre-qualified on-call geotechnical environmental engineering services consultants. AECom's contract on the new list was executed on November 2nd, 2022, and extends for a period of 5 years and will expire on November 1st, 2027. On December 14th, 2022, the board authorized the city engineer to award a sole source TOS for the continuation of this work on the Southwest Street Maintenance Yard to AECom under the new contracts. We had to use the remaining budget that was left over from the previous contracts, so the initial authority was only $18,435. So this board report is to request continuation of this work through the rest of 2023. Like the Venice Street Yard, the Southwest Street Maintenance Yard is a Bureau of Street Services truck maintenance, refueling, and overnight parking facility for city vehicles. A similar situation where previous underground tanks, which have been removed, leaked at the site, contaminating the subsurface. And as I mentioned in the previous report, due to funding protocols by the city administrative officer, we have to request budget on an annual basis. They provide us funding on an annual basis. That's why we come back every year to continue on projects that didn't get closure by the Water Quality Control Board in the previous year. Under the previous contract, AECom advanced borings to characterize contamination at the site and performed remedial test. And under the direction of BOE, AECom submitted a remedial action plan, which was accepted by the Water Quality Control Board. In this case, the plan included groundwater and soil extraction and treatment system, which was installed at the site, and that system is operated and maintained by AECom. This site also requires a relatively technically complex semi-annual site conceptual model update that must be submitted semi-annually to the Water Quality Control Board. The previous and the proposed work is mandated by state law, and not performing this work or not submitting the reports in a timely fashion will lead to regulatory action and potentially substantial fines to the city. The scope reflected in this revised TOS, task force solicitation, is a result of the Water Quality Control Board's mandate of continued semi-annual groundwater monitoring and reporting, as well as continued soil remediation. In addition, in this case, the board has mandated that some of the on-site idle wells that we've already have installed, that they be reopened, sampled, and additional laboratory testing be performed. They've also requested a rebound test be added to the scope of work for this fiscal year. And this request and this cost includes that work. Again, this revised task is subject to BIP outreach requirements with anticipated participation levels of 18% MBE, 4% WBE, 25% SBE, 8% EBE, and 3% DVBE. In this case, AECom is pledging MBE participation of 18.06%, WBE participation of 6.94%, SBE participation of 6.94%, EBE participation of 0%, and DVBE participation of 0%, and then OBE participation of 3.89%. Drilling more wells and our confirmation sampling is anticipated to increase participation levels in the fiscal year, or excuse me, calendar year 2024. Funding for this revision to this TOS for a total increase of $375,000, including contingency, is available in the Contaminated Soil Remediation Mitigation Budget, Fund 100, Department 54, Appropriation Unit Number 00W318. That concludes this report, and I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Smith, on that, your report. Any questions, commissioners? Dr. Davis, do you have your light on?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay. I don't see an VP Villegas just stepped out for a second. I don't see any questions. Any concerns, colleagues? Any objections? Hearing none. Is there a motion on the table to move item number 2 forward and forthwith? Thank you, Dr. Davis. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Corson. Dr. Campos, there's a first by Dr. Davis and a second by Commissioner Corson to move item number 2 forward and forthwith.
Absolutely. We'll start the voting tabulation now. We'll start with you, President Garcia.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Corzan.
Aye.
And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
This motion is adopted unanimously. Thank you.
Great, Mr. Smith. Thank you so much for all your work, and we look forward to getting these geotechnical monitoring, groundwater, soil done.
Thank you, President Garcia. More to come. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very
Have a
much.
good day.
Have a good day. All right, colleagues, moving on to item number 3. This is a release stop notice to Simcoe Mechanical, Inc. Simcoe Mechanical, Inc. is transmitting a release of stop notice in the amount of $31,990 with 45 cents for work done in connection with the Argo Drain Sub-Basin Facility Project. The primary contractor is OHL USA, Inc. There is no presenter on this item. Is there a second to my motion to move this item forward and forthwith?
Second.
Thank you, Vice President Villegas. Dr. Campos, there's a first by me and a second by Vice President Villegas to move item number 3 forward and forthwith.
Yes, we'll start the voting tabulation now. We'll start with you, Madam Chair.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis. Dr. Davis, is that an aye?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Commissioner Corzan
Aye.
and Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much for that. And now we are at the last end of today's piece of our agenda. It's the oral report, our long-awaited community-level contracting, all bureaus. And I have here on today's agenda, give me a second, I have everybody's name here. We'll start with Bureau of Sanitation, the Bureau of Street Services, Bureau of Engineering, and then we'll end with the Bureau of Street Lighting. This morning, we have Ms. Lanton with the Bureau of Sanitation. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Nancy Lanton from LA Sanitation and Environment. This morning, I am presenting LA Sanitation's quarterly community-level contracting quarterly status report, or CLC. The one existing opportunity that LA Sanitation has is entitled the RFQ for Landscaping and Site Services for LA San Facilities. This was an RFQ that we released in late 2021 for services related to tree trimming, maintenance of our water features, renovating plants with drought-tolerant plants, and various landscaping and hardscape projects throughout all of LA Sanitation facilities. So this would include landscaping services throughout the Hyperion Treatment Plant, Terminal Island plants, our wastewater yards, and our solid resources yards. We did break this down as part of the CLC opportunity into 2 work packages. So we wanted qualified contractors to either bid on a work package for $50,000, and we would create another list for any projects that are over $50,000. So that's how we broke it up for the CLC initiative. Only the large contractors were subject to the Business Inclusion Program, and the smaller contractors, because of the size of the projects, were not subject to BIP. We did receive Statement of Qualifications, and we are currently preparing the award board report. We have finalized negotiating rates, and we are now preparing draft contracts with them and negotiating contract terms with the contractors to be placed on the 2 lists. One for $50,000 and one for over $50,000. We are proposing that the board recommend award to these contracts, and hopefully will come to board in April of 2023, within the next 2 months. And for other projects and how we are implementing CLC projects for future LA Sanitation projects, we continue to evaluate pending RFPs and RFQs to determine if we can unbundle them in this similar fashion on making projects smaller and kind of breaking them down for smaller contractors. We've identified a few opportunities, and what we're doing is utilizing the NEXT codes in RAMP to see what type and how many potential subcontractors we could have in a project and utilize that for future opportunities. One future opportunity that we've identified that can be broken down, potentially can be broken down by also geographical regions. So we can potentially break down some of, hopefully, our watershed protection projects so that we can create businesses in smaller opportunities in different neighborhoods. But again, we're still working on that based on how we think the opportunity is going to be broken down. That's it for my report this quarter. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you so much for your report, Ms. Lanton. Any questions, colleagues?
Yes.
Vice President Villegas?
Oh, I do not.
Oh, sorry. I'll start with Dr. Davis and then Commissioner Reyes.
Yes. Thank you so very much for the report. and for the effort that the Bureau is implementing in terms of making sure that we create opportunities through the community development, community level contracting. As it relates to the ceiling, you mentioned that you've broken them down into $50,000 increments. Is there a ceiling in terms of our ability to break them down that is higher than $50,000?
That's how we've drafted the contract. So if we have a project that we know is going to be below 50,000, we're only going to release that TOS or that task order to the list of smaller contractors.
Sure.
So they could only bid on either or.
Do we have a vision, for example, that there may be also some projects, say, for example, that might be $100,000 or $200,000? Is there a ceiling that we have in our vision of, in the future or now, being able to implement these community-level contracting allocations of funding?
For this particular project, the landscaping one, we do have an overall contract ceiling, but no contract ceiling on each task order. I'm sorry, no task order ceiling.
I'm sorry. So would there be some chances, for example, on future projects that the ceiling could be, or that the community-level contracting allocation could be, let's say, for example, 100,000 or 150,000? Is that possible in other projects? I'm just trying to get an understanding of our vision in terms of how we move forward with it.
It could potentially happen. We were able to identify the 50,000 because this is solely for landscaping, so
Sure,
we knew
I
what projects
understand
were coming.
Yes.
So depending on the project, I believe it's a good way to break up the project, but then that way we can do something similar. So establish two lists. It doesn't have to be 50,000, it could be 100,000, it could be 200,000. I believe this one started at 100, but when we spoke to potential contractors, they felt the 50,000 ceiling was better for smaller projects.
Okay. Well, thank you for the progress and for your report.
Yeah, we're excited to bring this forward to board.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Commissioner Reyes?
First of all, thank you. Thank you for LA Sand and Environment for thinking outside the box and looking at the different contracts and the opportunities to unbundle them and give opportunities to our smaller businesses. I like the idea of breaking it down by geographical areas because that will kind of ensure that there is equity and fairness and also an opportunity for other businesses there. And also, I would see moving forward that there will be an opportunity for smaller businesses to partner with each other as well to tackle on whatever smaller contracts we have. So thank you for that. This landscaping is, I think, a huge step, and it's important because we've been struggling with a number of our landscaping contracts in sanitation. So thank you for opening up that opportunity for smaller businesses. I don't have any other suggestions, but just to say grateful for sanitation taking that step, and report back to us on your success stories soon, hopefully. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you,
everyone.
Commissioner Reyes. Ditto on that, and I just want to say, yes, please report back what the findings are and what you result in. Any other questions, colleagues? Seeing none, thank you so much for your report this morning.
Thank you.
Have a good day. All right. Thank you, Ms. Latin. Moving on to street services, Marta Iniguez. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Martha Iñiguez. Got it. Representing the Bureau of Street Services to report on the community-level contracting from October to December 2022. For the first 4 contracts are for the maintenance of landscape median islands. In 2020, we split the work packages from 2 to 4 to give small contractors an opportunity to bid on them. This is how the Green Garden became a first-time city contractor. On September 30th, 2022, the board authorized the Bureau to exercise the second and final one-year renewal option. Notices to proceed were issued in October 2022. The next item is the freeway off-ramp closure services contract with Sterndal Enterprises. This is a 3-year contract with a $200,000 yearly budget. It expires in August 2024. The last item is the as-needed haul truck program. These contracts are due to expire on June 30th, 2023. We are potentially going to request for a 1-year extension, but are also reviewing other contracting options. We currently have a total of 93 truckers in this program. We have 2 potential CLC opportunities. One is for the sidewalk and park vending outreach and education. It will be for a 3-year pre-qualified on-call contract. 5 of the original 8 vendors are still interested in participating. We anticipate to bring this to the board next month, if not sooner. Secondly, we are looking into securing funding for the maintenance of unimproved median islands. If funding is obtained, we will be offering this as a CLC opportunity. And then as new projects arise or existing contracts expire, we will continue to assist our project managers to review their projects for further CLC potential opportunities. That concludes my report on CLC contracting for the Bureau of Street Services. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Ms. Iniguez, for your report. Any questions, Commissioners? Vice President Villegas?
Hi, thank you for your report. I'd appreciate it. You may not have the answer to this, and that's fine, but can you go back to perhaps Stephanie and to your team and let them know that we really need to set up a meeting for the long list of as-needed truckers to formalize that process?
Yes, we are going to make arrangements very soon.
Yes, okay. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vice President Villegas. Commissioner Reyes?
So just out of curiosity, how do you guys do your outreach so that we're ensured that the potential vendors know about the opportunity, not just on, ramp, but is there additional steps that we take as for your bureau, for example, to reach out to potential vendors?
For most contracts, they are through RAMP. But like, for instance, for the truckers, we do have a website where they can check periodically to see if we open up any opportunities for them.
So there's no additional steps that you're taking, but how do you know that you're reaching them? It's just via the ramp?
Yes.
Okay, can you, maybe, I think at the next go-around or reporting, we can kind of analyze what that response looks like if we're only using ramp and not really reaching out for like a local ad in the paper or some type of a PSA or other stuff that probably our Bureau of Contract Administration can also help us with.
That's a very good suggestion, yes. I'll bring that up
Explore
to
that.
executives. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Reyes. I also want to commend you, Street Services, for having been able to unbundle a lot of different type of projects. You have median island landscape contracts, freeway off-ramp closure services, as-needed haul truck program. I know it's for 1 year for now, and we're looking into stabilizing that program. But I just want to say that you're also looking into the sidewalk, park, and vending program outreach and maintenance of unimproved median islands to come. So thank you so much for doing all of that. That's a lot of good work on your end. And I commend Stephanie and Keith and everybody in your team for that.
Thank you very much, Commissioners.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time this morning, Ms. Inez. Have a good rest of the day. All right, colleagues, we do not have anything from BCA and BOE, Greg Vandergriff. Good morning, sir. Welcome.
Good morning, President Garcia and Commissioners. It's a pleasure to be with you this morning. I'm Greg Vandergriff with the Bureau of Engineering Project Award and Control Division, and I have our quarterly report regarding community level contracting for October 1st, 2023 to October 1st, 2022 to December 31st, 2022. At this time, we issued one contract to Geronimo Concrete Incorporated for $71,036.84. This was for Access Request Acceleration Package number 27. For the upcoming quarter, which will be January 1st, 2023 through March 30th, 2023, we anticipate issuing 3 contracts, one to Coleman Construction Incorporated for Access Request Acceleration Package number 30 for $64,128.85. For Little Potato Incorporated, which is Access Request Acceleration Package number 31 for $82,560.80. And for Access Pacific Incorporated for Access Request Acceleration Package number 32 for $76,722.25. At this time, the pre-qualified list of design-build contractors for solar, photovoltaic, and energy storage projects for the city facilities were adopted by the Board of Public Works with a provision to amend the list with additional qualified contracts. At this time, solar photovoltaic and energy storage system projects have no anticipated awards or projects for the period from January 1, 2023 to March 31st, 2023. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Vandergriff. I don't see any questions from my colleagues. I just have maybe a question. I'm just thinking to myself out loud here, but Access Pacific Inc., are they considered a small business? They're part of the your upcoming, the last year's quarter report.
Right.
CLC opportunity.
They meet the requirement of an MBE, but I'm not sure about whether, I don't believe they meet an SBE qualification.
Okay.
They are a local business.
Yeah, I've seen him in a couple other contracts doing bigger work, and so, we can talk about this more and as we proceed for next year, but, the purpose of the community level contracting is that we give opportunity to smaller businesses that are not able to compete with the bigger ones. So I just want to, if you can just go back and look at Access Pacific, please.
Yes, we will do that.
Thank you very much. I don't see any other questions, comments. Thank you so much for being here this morning. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Have a good rest of the day. And lastly, Mr. Assad Al-Janar here joining us from the Bureau of Street Lighting. Thank you, sir, and welcome.
Good morning, President Garcia, commissioners, and fellow colleagues from the departments. I'm Assad Al-Najjar, the program manager for the Transit Lighting Division. The attached report provides the summary of the current and the prospective community-level contracts opportunities from the Bureau of Street Lighting for the period October 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2022. At this time, we have one project for this coming quarter, and this will install 9 new electrolyers with 3 arms and brackets for a total 12 luminaires with a total value $72,780. The security lighting unit 20 segment 1 was offered sequentially to each contractor in the list. The first contractor in the list declined. The next contractor, Axiom Group, accepted the project and is currently going through the required clearance. BSL anticipate the delivery of the materials by June 1st, 2023, and the contractor will pick up the equipment from our yard and start construction as soon as it arrives. We are anticipating and targeting completion by June 26, 2023. In regards to the other contractors in the list, none of them responded, so we assume they are not available. And Surftech did not respond because they currently are doing 2 projects, so it's way more than they can handle. Thank you.
Thank you for that explanation on that. I also like how BSL was able to unbundle this by BSO taking the big front of this by purchasing the big materials and then just having our smaller business contractors install the big materials. So it makes it easier and more feasible for small businesses to be able to do this.
Right, and historically, this always worked for us from a decade ago. It's like when I did the Sepulveda Tunnel, because this encouraged and helped a lot of the smaller contractors to come in, given at the time we purchased the $1 million equipment. So this way, they don't need to be burdened with all the contract requirements.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the purpose of this community level contracting. Any questions, commissioners? Comments? Hearing none. Thank you very much, Mr. Assad. It's good to see you again.
Pleasure.
Look
Thank
forward
you.
to more opportunities upcoming. All right, that's the end of today's report back on community level contracting. Any other ones? Any burning questions? Hearing none. Dr. Campos, have we cleared today's desk?
Yes, you have.
Great. Thank you, everyone. It is Friday. I'm sorry. It is Wednesday. I was pushing on Friday, you guys. It is Wednesday, February 8, and 10:56. This meeting is officially adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of the day.